In August of 2022, I was driving around looking for deer, and I spotted a nice buck just off the road on a farm that I had hunted a few years prior. I stopped in and I received permission to hunt the farm for archery season, so I set out a few trail cameras. My buddy got some pictures of him on a trail camera about half a mile from where I had seen him, and shortly thereafter I started getting some pictures on camera of him as well. He was a nice buck, but was still fairly young, so I didn't get very serious about chasing him. I had a number of other shooter bucks that I was after that year, and I wasn't going to be too picky about which one I shoot if given the opportunity. I never did see him again that year in person. 2023 rolled around and I hunted the same farm again. I didn't get any cameras out or do much preseason scouting, so I didn't know if he was still alive or not. On the evening of November 10th, 2023, around 10 o'clock, I was driving the road by the farm where I had last seen him, and he ran across the road in front of me, chasing a doe into a freshly cut cornfield. It was about 400 yards from where my tree stand was, so I figured there was a really good chance that he was going to be at my tree stand the next morning at daybreak. The next morning, I was on my stand 2 hours before daylight, because I did not want to run into him when he was on his way back from the field back to his bedding area. Right after daybreak, I saw a big buck down below me about 120 yards making a scrape. I pulled up my binoculars and immediately saw it was him. He was with a doe. I was watching him when I heard something coming to my left, and I looked over and saw it was a buck chasing a doe. It came right up past me at 20 yards, but I didn't want to shoot since the buck wasn't very big and the big buck was still out at 120 yards. The smaller 8-point in the doe left, so I was back to watching the big buck when I hear something else coming. I looked to my left and there was another buck coming up through the woods. He passed me also at about 20 yards on the same track that the doe and the other buck had previously went. I was still watching the big buck in the thicket below me. He finally went out in the pasture following the doe, and that was when I got my first good look at him. I watched him for about 10 minutes before he left. He never came closer than about 120 yards. I decided I would sit all day because I figured he would come by again that evening, and he did. Right before dark, he came by chasing a doe, and the doe was headed right towards me, and she came into 60 yards, him right behind her. They stopped for a minute and turned downhill. The doe ran down over the hill, him following her. I never did see him again in 2023. Now we were in the summer of 2024. I had no idea if he had made it through the season or not. So I started doing some scouting in early June in hoping of getting eyes on him or another mature buck. In July, I saw him for the first time, and wow, was he a dandy. In early October, I moved my stand about 60 yards and decided to watch the weather for the right conditions before I started hunting for him. I hunted once in early season but did not see him. The first week of November, a cold spell moved in, so I decided to start doing all-day sits on November 1st and hunt a week straight if the wind conditions stayed good.
it's 9:45 now. I have had about seven bucks that I've got a shot so far. A couple of them were really good, but just not quite what I'm looking for. I just had a buck chase a doe right through here a little bit ago. So they're still moving. It's really cold off since it got daylight too. I'll run along myself bubbler drinks. If anybody from Bubbler, the company, is watching this, I'm begging you, start stocking these in stores and in gas stations, or contact me if need to, but these are not easy to find in Pennsylvania, and I like them a lot. About to buy a tractor trailer load just so I can keep them in stock. Anyway, back to hunting. It was a pretty good morning. I had deer around my stand. I got oak trees right around, like 80, between 40 and 80 yards from my stand. Actually, I have oak trees right next to my stand too. There was deer feeding in here all morning until 9:30, and the last ones just left. That buck that I saw this morning that was chasing a doe, he was right on her. I mean, his eyes were locked in on her. Every time she would stop, he would stand like 20 yards from her, and as soon as she would take a step, he would take a step. When she started walking, he would start walking. When she started running, he started running. So, it's definitely a hot doe in here. I saw a lot of bucks cruising, so I'm excited to see what the rest of the day brings. It's day 2 of my all-day November sits, November 2nd, 2024. I had a lot of action yesterday. I saw about 12 different bucks chasing. a doe, they would run off after the doe for a little bit. So, they're definitely doing a lot of chasing. I didn't see any shooters yesterday. I did see a couple pretty good bucks, but just no shooters. It's cold this morning, it's about 31 degrees. So, the deer's gonna be moving, that's for sure.
Right at first when I shot, I thought I had hit him pretty good, and I was kind of expecting him to go down there, and then the way he acted for the next 45 minutes, I thought I had missed. And then I replayed the footage later on, and I was fairly certain that I had hit him in the neck, but because of the small screen I had to replay the shot, I was never able to tell that I actually hit him, and I had finally concluded in my mind that I had just missed him. If you replay the shot in slow motion, you can see that he ducked before the arrow got to him. I should not have even shot at the time. I should have waited because he was with a doe, and there's a fairly good chance that he would have come in again, or that he would have come in closer at some point or another. But I didn't wait, and I should have. I've been kicking myself ever since. And I know a lot of you are going to have plenty to say about that, and when you see my next shot, you're going to have even more to say. And I'm fine with that. You can say what you want. And also, maybe you guys have some suggestions what I should have done. I probably should not have grunted here like I did here in a little bit. In less than 10 minutes, that buck was up here on his ridge. I had watched him the whole time since I had shot at him, and he was up there just eating acorns and chasing does. And a few minutes after he got up there, he was even kind of posturing towards some other bucks. Apparently the neck wound didn't bother him too much. Right here was the last I seen him until he came back over 2 hours later.
Well, I'm feeling kind of sick right now. I missed the buck I'm after. Right at daylight. At 51 yards. I think my arrow hit a leaf. I don't know what happened. I'll have to look at the footage then, but I don't know what happened. But after I shot, he wasn't spooked at all. He was on a doe. And he just ran about 20 yards. I thought I might have hit him, but apparently I didn't. And he was up here about 60 to 80 yards from me for about 45 minutes with that doe eating acorns. And I think I just saw him walk down over the hill, so there's 3 other bucks. I have a buck right now at 40 yards. And then there was 2 other bucks chasing another doe up there close to where that big buck was. I can't believe it. I had a doe right underneath my stand. And I was looking at her and watching her, and I look up, it's just getting daylight. And at 55 yards, I see 2 deer standing there looking at me. I put my binoculars on them, and one of them was that big buck. They didn't know what it was. And so it didn't spook at all, but my goodness. I just can't believe it. He was on a hot doe, so there's a good chance that he'll come back in today at some point.
So the big buck had left at 8:15, and from 8:15 to 9:49 I had deer running the ridge and up under the oak trees eating acorns. And at 9:49 I saw a big deer running after a doe up on the ridge, and I pulled up my binoculars, and sure enough it was him. He was about 100 yards away at the time, and he ended up turning. He was headed away from me, and then he came back about 5 minutes later after I saw him again. He was with a doe, and he came into 75 yards, and he hung out for about, I think, 10 minutes, and he bedded down. He ended up bedding down for almost half an hour, and then I had I think it was 4 bucks that came in, and from 3 different directions, and they came in at about the same time, all 4 of them chasing a doe, and all the commotion got him to stand back up, and he was bedded down, and the doe he was with was also bedded down not too far from him. He stayed uphill from her the whole time and tried to keep her from running out on the field up above him.
For over an hour, I had him within 100 yards. Actually, I think it was an hour and a half until he finally came in and gave me a second shot. He was standing here at 70 yards for about an hour, where he was kind of hanging around at 70 yards. The doe was most of the time around 15 to 20 yards down the hill from him. He stayed uphill, and it looked like he was trying to keep her from going out on the field up above him. He wanted her to stay in the woods. By this time, it's about 10, I think around 10:30. Every time, so he was kind of facing towards me most of the time, and every time that he would start walking, my heart would just start pounding again, because he was kind of headed my direction for almost an hour. And off and on, he would take a couple steps and stand there for 5 minutes, just over and over again. Right where he's at right now is about 3 feet from where he was the first time I shot at him earlier this morning.
Meh. Eh. Meh.
Go down. Come on, go down. Come on, go down right there.
I just shot that big buck. But
I just shot that big buck.
I wasn't going to post this video since my efforts to kill this deer ended in such an epic failure. But I decided to post it anyway since I thought someone may learn something from it. A couple of things I learned are this. Number one, take more time to practice before season starts. Even though I can make a kill shot every time out to 60 yards while shooting targets, doesn't mean I can make a kill shot every time on a deer at 60 yards. The first shot at 50 yards I think would have been fairly good if he wouldn't have ducked before the arrow got to him. I'm not sure what happened the second shot, but I'm sure there was movement from him before the arrow reached him. He was standing at 40 yards looking right at me after I got him to stop. I also think that a younger doe or buck would have died fairly quickly from that shot, but those mature bucks are just tougher than nails. I should have waited for him to be closer both times. There's a fairly good chance that I would have gotten a better chance at him later that day or over the next few days.
He stumbled and almost fell right there. Right here you can see he's bleeding pretty good. And he's not walking very fast. Just the way he walks, it looks like he's kind of weak. This was about the last I seen him right here. And it looks like he's going to be going down soon.
Well, I shot that buck. The buck I was after at 40 yards. I heard it hit shoulder or bone. And I watched him for about 10 minutes, probably around 10 minutes. He has blood coming out on both sides. It's definitely in the shoulder, maybe a little bit forward, I don't know. But he was slowly walking away about 150 yards from here last I saw him. I don't know what to expect. I mean, the last I saw him, there was definitely blood coming out both sides of him, so that means I have enough penetration that the arrow was sticking out on the other side. But I don't know why he wouldn't have went down. He was just slowly walking away last I saw him. I don't know what to do. I'm gonna go down, just kind of check for blood a little bit, see what kind of blood the blood looks like, and then he's a big deer, big buck. Oh, that makes me sick. That was too far forward. We're gonna go see. I don't know. This should be a rejoiceful moment, not a sad moment. He came in this morning at 51 yards, and I think I missed him. But I'm pretty sure he ducked my arrow. And then he was gone for about 2 hours. I watched him for 45 minutes after I shot at him. Then he came back in. And I was watching him for the past hour. He bedded down a few times about 80 yards from me. He was with the doe. He finally made his way down to 40 yards. Oh my. He's headed down to some thick stuff. We'll see what we can find.
I packed up my gear and went to look for blood. He started bleeding really good immediately from where he was standing. It looked like lung blood. There was a good bit of bubbles in the blood. I didn't look for him right away. I went home and reviewed the footage. and I could see it was a bit far forward. I waited for a little over 3 hours before I went back to look for him.
He was standing here for a while. And he went down. A lot of blood.
As I went back out, I tracked him for about 180 yards before I ran out of blood. The first 150 yards I had really good blood.
Bubbles in
There were some really good puddles of blood where he had been standing. After running out of blood, I decided to back out and give it some time. I knew where his buck's bedding area was, so I went down on a road where I could see his bedding area. I saw him standing down below the road right at the edge of a pasture, facing the pasture. His back towards the thick bedding cover, the wind was coming from behind him. This was 5 hours after I had shot him, and he was 750 yards away from where he was at when I shot him. There was no way to sneak up on him because the bedding area was so thick that a lot of times you can't even see 10 feet. I decided to let him go at this time. I was hoping he would bed down and die right there. The next morning I went back and he was still exactly at the same spot, bedded down but was still alive. There was a doe bedded down also, only about 10 feet away. I'm guessing it was the same doe that he had been chasing the day before. I went back at night and he was nowhere to be found. 2 days later, my buddy spotted him after dark in a field right close to where I had last seen him, and he was chasing a doe. 5 days after I shot him, I spotted him after dark down on the field also with a doe. He seemed to be doing okay. I had trail camera pictures of him over the next few weeks, and I noticed that his condition was getting worse and worse. He wasn't leaving his bedding area during the daytime. He was only coming out after dark. The farm I had permission on to hunt was about a half mile from where his bedding area was, and I couldn't hunt where his bedding area was. To get over to my tree stand, he had to cross another farm. There was nobody that hunted on that farm in archery season that I'm aware of, but they always hunt in rifle season. I thought there was a fairly good chance that he would make it through rifle season because I didn't think he would move much during the day since he was hurting and wasn't able to move very good. His bedding area was on a piece of property that was only about 12 acres. About a month after I shot him, which was now in rifle season, I was still getting some pictures and videos of him on my trail cameras, and I could tell he was not doing good. I decided to go once again and talk with the lady that owned 12 acres to see if I could hunt there and try to kill him to put him out of his misery. I went there on a Friday afternoon and she wasn't home. So I went back Saturday afternoon, and again she wasn't home. So Sunday morning I wrote a letter, and I went back there Sunday afternoon to ask for permission. And I figured if she wasn't there, I'd leave the letter there with my information so she could get a hold of me. She was not home Sunday afternoon, so I went to the door, and there was a crack in the storm door. And I went to stick the letter in that crack, and the letter fell down inside the storm door where I couldn't get to it or see it. So I left there feeling pretty hopeless and depressed. At this point I was thinking that I'm probably not supposed to kill this buck. The next evening, I opened Facebook, and the first thing I saw on the top of Facebook was that the neighbor had killed his buck. I was both sad and relieved at the same time. I was glad his buck was put out of his misery, but I was sad that I wasn't the one to get him. Fortunately, I was not able to get my hands on him to get a better look at him.